When anything's in doubt, I could always talk about how much I love David Bowie. um, Recently, I've been listening to a lot of live albums because I realized that listening to live albums gives you this inkling that you were actually there in the show. It feels like, the rough patches of the music, the rough voices, the rough instrumentation, the imperfectness of it all makes you feel like you are actually in the show with them. And I feel like a lot of my favorite artists who I listen to, I don't have the opportunity to ever really see live anymore, and the closest thing I can really do is to listen to their live albums. I never really thought about it before, but I've been listening to so many live albums ever since I started with this David Bowie live album that I want to talk about, live Nassau Coliseum 76. But I also listened to Cracked Actor, and I started listening to a bunch of other artists' live albums. I've listened to, let me look for some live albums I've listened to recently. I have listened to Live at Carnegie Hall by Bill Withers. I've listened to Sex Machine, James Brown, Queen live at Wembley Stadium, Kraftwerk, Minimum Maximum, Curtis Live by Curtis Mayfield, Mouth of Isles by Joni Mitchell. I finally listened to in its entirety MTV Unplugged, Nirvana, LCD Sound System, The Long Goodbye, and next on my list is Live at Leeds by The Who, and just this. I just feel like this is the closest thing I've ever been able to have to a live concert with so many of my favorite artists. So, and I love live music. Also, I listened to the Velvet Underground album, which wears it. But it's a live album, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. I can't find it right now, but and of course, Stop Making Sense, and the name of this band is Talking Heads. Oh, here it is, 1969 Velvet Underground. I can probably talk about this album instead. But let's just go back. I'm going off track. So, Live Nassau Coliseum 76 is David Bowie touring Station to Station, which is my favorite David Bowie album, and my favorite kind of era in the David Bowie narrativization of his career. Famously, this is around the time when he filmed The Man Who Left Earth, The Man Who Fell to Earth by Nicholas Roeg, which is where you kind of get the album cover of Station to Station. One of the scenes in the film, comes from that. And popularly, this is the period of David Bowie's life when he was very much addicted to cocaine, and influenced the making of his music and his kind of just interactions with everyone during that kind of 75, 76 period, until he decided to just leave everything and move to Berlin to make what ended up becoming the Berlin Trilogy. But, my favorite album is Station to Station, so I had so much fun listening to this album, which is when he was touring the album. The live album opens up with this live version of Station to Station that I think is one of the greatest musical experiences I've ever had for just anything. It's so incredible. If you're a David Bowie fan, I highly recommend checking it out. Oh, also, just to kind of digress again, I also listened to Tim Buckley's The Dream Letter. That was actually the first live album. That one blew me away. Anyway, so opens up with Station to Station. Incredible band, incredibly funky, incredibly influenced by the prog rock scene and all of this stuff. Station to Station opens up with that, and then it segues into Suffragette City from Ziggy Stardust, which is one of the most banger songs in that album. I'm looking at it now. It's this amazing sequence of songs. It goes into Fame, the song he wrote with John Lennon. Then Word on a Wing, an amazing rendition. The live rendition is absolutely amazing. Then he does Stay, which is also from Station to Station, another great rendition of it live. There's something about the very grittiness of the instrumentation of his band that kind of elevates a lot of the songs, even though his and also his vocals are on top of his game in this album. After you get Stay, which is one of the most underrated David Bowie songs. Yeah, if you haven't heard enough, I'm a big fan of Station to Station. I think it's his best album. If you haven't listened to it, you have to listen to it now. But anyway, And then after this day, he covers "Waiting for the Man" by the Velvet Underground from their from their debut album with Nico, um, Lou Reed written classic. Bowie has its own spin on it, pretty good, and it ends with "Queen Bitch" from Hunky Dory, and that's like the first half of the album, and it's just all these songs are just so fantastic, and they're not necessarily songs that you would think are David Bowie classic songs, These are some of the songs are actually all the songs are kind of more low key. Probably the most famous one here is maybe not as a pun, but "Fame" probably is the only hit song here. But maybe some people know "Suffragette City," but "Word on a Wing," "Stay," "Waiting for the Man," "Queen Bitch." These are not really necessarily what people look at as like the at least the mainstream idea of David Bowie. You think of like Heroes or something, but this is before Heroes. And then in the second half of the album, you get a bunch of more songs where he goes back into Aladdin Sane, Era, and Diamond Dogs. So well, let's see. It's this too. Come on, this is such a amazing live album. I wish I was there for the concert. This too opens up with "Life in Mars," incredible song from Hunky Dory, probably the best song on that album. Maybe, who knows? But it's definitely the most popular one. And then after "Life in Mars," you get "5 Years," which I think is the best song on Ziggy Stardust. The opening song, it's incredibly epic. You get "Panic in Detroit," "Changes," TVC15, Diamond Dogs, "Rebel Rebel," and "The Genie," and it's just the track list is it covers a lot of David Bowie's more like upbeat tracks that kind of lend very well into the station to station band feel and the funky grooves and undeniably the cocaine in general, but fantastic. It's such a good album, and if you've ever just listened to any of these albums, hearing any of these songs live, it's quite, the sound's pretty impeccable. I highly recommend it. My favorite one might be "Station to Station" and "Word on a Wing" or "Stay." I mean, I'm biased towards the album "Station to Station," but all of them are quite fantastic. So yeah, this is not really an album. I mean, it is an album, but I've already done a David Bowie video before. I think I talked about one of his later albums. I think "One Outside," which I think is also quite underrated. But yeah, "Station to Station," I think it's his best album. If you haven't listened to it, or if you have listened to it, listen to this album. It's called "Live Nassau Coliseum '76." It is David Bowie at his peak funk, I think. There's another live album on "Cracked Actor," which is more, I think, during the Diamond Dogs era. It is good as well. You get songs like you hear "Space Oddity" and some other great songs. 1984. Let's see, "John," "I'm Only Dancing." Again, you get this is a bit earlier era, but I'm a big fan of Station to Station era Bowie. So, I was amazed by the quality of the recording. But if you want to hear like Heroes and all that, you should listen to "Stages," which was in 77 or 78, I think. So that kind of incorporates a lot of the Berlin trilogy in it. But you also get a version of "Station to Station," which I actually haven't listened to yet, but I doubt it is much better than the Station to Station tour version of it. But yeah, David Bowie, "Live Nassau Coliseum '76, definitely check it out.